Good morning, welcome to Walking Slowly Downhill, an account of a long walk along the River Murray from source to mouth that I undertook in 2015. Each day I would write an account, each afternoon I would write an account of the morning's walk, and these have been collected together under the title Walking Slowly Downhill. This is an account of the 36th day's road to Renmark. It's a splendid morning. Everything radiates spring's clarity and promise rather than summer's opulence. There are only 16 kilometres left to walk between Robinvale and Renmark, and I walk them simply and directly. Last night I dreamt of something I can't clearly remember. Its shape keeps surfacing and then evading my conscious mind as I walk. On the drive back to Mildura, I wonder how I've walked all those kilometres, and I count each one. My legs have simply taken me that distance. All those seemingly impossible long wanderings I have read about suddenly emerge from the printed page and fill the space I occupy at this very moment. Just past Lake Clario, a policeman steps onto the road and waves me onto the shoulder. He mumbles something and hands me a plastic pipe to blow in. I do so until he says to stop. He then proceeds to read the numbers flashing on the tiny screen. After a few seconds, he says, "All good." He then retreats to his car, bends over the bonnet and writes something on a bit of paper. When he's finished, he ambles over and says, "Here, this is a present for you," and hands me the bit of paper through the open van window. I read it, but I can't work out what it means. I ask him, he winks, then says, "It's just something that says, I spoke to you today." He smiles and walks away. I'm soon driving along olive groves, singing Old Man River. Soon I'm breezing past the airport down Deacon Avenue into downtown Mildura. So that was an amiable policeman. I've never met one before. It's deep spring in the Mallee. 37th day in Mildura. Today I'm resting. I won't be walking again until Thursday when Steve returns from Melbourne. I spend most of the day in the garden, sitting. Later in the afternoon, I sweep the paths of leaves. Then I water the pot plants and pick up the overripe lemons that have fallen onto the lawn. Or is it simply grass? The lawn sounds too grand. It's grass really because it has patches of clover and couch growing through it and bare spots where the sun has burnt it, much like Italo Calvino's Infinite Lawn, a collection of collections, as he termed it. I spend time looking at the roses, admiring their shape, colour, perfume. I've never looked at flowers much, and now I have a garden overflowing with roses of every shape, size and colour. I place a kitchen chair in the shade of the pear tree and simply look at them all, simply taking them into my eyes. I begin to think about walking again and how I can barely describe it, barely describe the doing of it, how it feels, what it might mean. I simply don't know. Except that I know it happens by pushing one foot in front of the other endlessly, without asking why or where. In the words of the great John Kennedy, don't think, do. But I feel like I'm getting closer to being able to say something more about it. I'm very slow like that. It takes me a long time to feel a thing, even if I'm seemingly at ease with it. Even if seemingly I'm communing with it, but I'm not. I'm just doing it. I don't speak to anyone at all today except my children and the refrigerator mechanic who will come round on Wednesday to have a look at why my refrigerator can no longer refrigerate. Then at dusk, I walk to the cinema on Deacon Avenue. Even though it's deserted, I sit in the front row and watch The Martian. I walk out into the warm night air and instinctively I look up to see where the red planet might be. It's there, beyond the Southern Cross. Immediately I think of my father. As soon as I get home, I switch on Memory Palace. Its glow reaches into every corner of the house, into the air above us, seeping high, far, far away to the red dust and the silent monoliths. I know then that he's here with me. They're both here. I sit down at the kitchen table and I begin to write. At times I feel like apologising for the very bland nature of my remarks and the unremarkable quality that they have in abundance. I think it has something to do with time and the fact that anything rhythmic and continuous that's attempted seems to slow it down, seems to open the mesh of time up wide enough to be able to see between its veins, between its connecting material, and there's nothing in there. There's silence and blankness. And I end up describing moments such as I do that are very, very unremarkable. And sometimes I feel like I need to apologise to you for offering such blandness. There's a beautiful essay that's been written on blandness and its special nature. Until tomorrow, when I continue with readings from this journey. There was a very big rainstorm last night, thunder and much lightning, and the birds are all settling down this morning. Everything's dripping with rainwater. Welcome into my silent kitchen. Until tomorrow, have a wonderful Saturday.